Converting degrees to radians and radians to degrees is what we're going to be doing today. There are several things I want to point out to you before we get into how to convert, to make sure that you understand why it's done the way it's done, not just something to memorize and put in the filing cabinet of your brain as one more thing or one more formula. But I want you to understand how it works and why it works. So the first thing is this. You should have learned back in elementary school how to convert things such as feet to inches, inches to yards, feet to miles, and such and such. Okay, do y'all recall that?
Yes.
Oh, please.
Just like count.
All right.
Let's use count.
Like 3 feet a yard, maybe.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell y'all that when I was in high school and doing conversions, I never fully understood it. It never made a whole lot of sense to me. It was a pattern to be memorized, and if I was like 1 0 off or 1 decimal off, then I was, in trouble. But when I started teaching here 10 years ago, and we had the Saxon series is wonderful. They use unit multipliers to do converting. And you were constantly converting. And now conversions are so much easier. So I'm going to point those out to you now because you're going to have to do converting later on in chemistry and, I don't know, whatever else. Okay. Well, the first thing is it's called a unit multiplier, and the reason it's called a unit multiplier is because you are multiplying your measure by 1. Now, what happens if you multiply anything by 1? Nothing, basically, okay? But it's not expressed as 1. It's expressed as something sort of like this. 12 inches over 1 foot. All right, and this is a unit multiplier because 12 inches and 1 foot are the same measurement. And if you actually took a ruler that was 12 inches long, you could call it 12 inches or 1 foot. It's still the same ruler, correct? So this is a unit multiplier, and it can be used in a conversion. Now we have to choose how we need to write this unit multiplier. Does it change if I reverse the 12 and the 1 and flip them? Not as long as I still have 1 foot and 12 inches. I can't say 12 feet and 1 inch. That's not the same thing. All right? But when you're using unit multipliers to convert, you need to understand which order they need to be put in. All right? Now, how do we figure out which order it needs to be put in? Well, it's based on what we're trying to get out of and what we're trying to get into. Suppose I said that I wanted you to convert 72 inches into feet. Well, this takes an understanding of how multiplying fractions works. If you're multiplying two things and one thing is in, like, say, a variable, one variable is in the numerator and the same variable is in the denominator, what happens to that variable? It cancels. It goes away, correct? So if I'm trying to turn 72 inches into feet, I want to set up my unit multiplier so that the inch word will go away. Well, I can either say this. Does the inch word go away when I multiply this out? No, it becomes inches squared divided by feet, which makes no sense. The correct way to write this specific unit multiplier is this way. We are converting from inches to feet, so the unit multiplier is going to tell us how many inches are in 1 foot. But we place it in a position so that when we multiply this out, the label inch actually goes away, and the answer we get is feet. If you multiply that out, that's 72 divided by 12. How many times is 12 going to 72? 6 times. This is 6 feet. All right, now you might say, well, that's a whole lot of mess to go through to convert from inches to feet when all you got to do is divide by 12. Yes, but why are you dividing by 12? Because this is what you're doing. And when you get something more complicated, let's say like convert 275 miles into centimeters. That's a little crazy, don't you think? But with unit multipliers, you can do that. What you've got to do is think of what's the link between miles and centimeters. What conversion did you learn years ago, hopefully? Miles and feet. Do you know how many feet are in 1 mile?
Oh, yes.
5,280. Okay, so the first thing, this is going to be done in steps. All right? So, if I want to convert miles first to feet, then that means I'm going away from miles and turning it into feet. Well, how many feet are in 1 mile? 5,280. When I make this calculation, what is my answer in right now? Feet. I want to get centimeters. Do you know how many centimeters are in a foot? No. Okay, well, is there like a connection between centimeters and feet that maybe we could take one more step? Do you know how many inches are in a foot? Do you know how many centimeters are in an inch? 2.54. You should. Okay. So, yes.
Can I get you a pickup for a minute?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. No, it should take 20, 30 minutes. That's it. Yes. All right. All right, so my next step is I'm trying to get out of feet and into inches. So that determines which order my inch and foot goes because of my destination or my goal. And then now I'm going to use this unit multiplier and decide how many inches and how many feet are the same thing. Well, there are 12 inches in 1 foot, correct? And so when I do this multiplication, guess what cancels out now? Is this little foot label. And so if I stopped here and multiplied all that out, I will have turned 275 miles into what? Inches. But let's say we want to go a step further and turn it into centimeters. Well, now all of this is in inches, and I don't want it in inches anymore. I want it in centimeters. And so I need to discover what's the unit multiplier here. Well, there are 2.54 centimeters. God bless you. In 1 inch. And now the label inch is gone. And when I make that complete calculation, that's how many centimeters are in 275 miles. And that's like true, like that's real. If you calculated all that out, you will know how many centimeters are in 275 miles. And it's a whole lot. Your calculator's probably going to have it in scientific notation. God bless you. It's not? What is it?
44,256,960.
God bless you. Okay, 44,256,000 a lot. All right? It's a lot. But the fact is, you can now make that determination through the use of unit multipliers. You can use unit multipliers to convert between, decigrams and milligrams, and centi this and, deca that, and whatever. If you can't remember, this many jumps means multiply, this many jumps means divide. Unit multipliers will work with any type of conversion. All right, now the purpose of using feet and inches is because something you're familiar with. Now, when we are converting degrees into radians, we are looking at circles, basically, okay? Every circle has a measure of how many degrees? 360 degrees. The first thing I see is that this would be what we call the initial side of any angle. This